So we're here with Andrew Leahy, right? Am I pronouncing that right?
You are. Good job. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So, Andrew, I don't know exactly how I found you on Instagram. I do know that, I don't know if you know Ben Jaffe.
I love Ben Jaffe.
Okay, good, because he follows you as well. So I'm guessing I interviewed Ben, a couple months ago. I forget which episode, but if you go back in my in the podcast timeline, you'll see that Ben Jaffe is a guest, and he's awesome. And he
really is.
Yeah, I loved speaking with him. So I guess the algorithm maybe suggested you because I follow Ben. So. How do you know Ben?
Well, the algorithm is working, and I like the algorithm again. If it brought me, so Ben. So I work as a music journalist in addition to working as a musician. And years ago, I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan, working at a company called AllMusic.com, and I really liked Honey Honey, which is the band that Ben was in originally. And so I think I interviewed them for Pace Magazine. We became friends that way. And then a couple years later, I was in Nashville, and Honey Honey came through, and I put them up at my house. And then,
nice.
Ben actually lived at my house for a while after that. He's just been a long time friend, great musician, and it's great to watch what he's up to now. And it's, I feel like he and I kind of do the same thing, kind of, juggling a solo career and a sideman career. And he's got a really, great sideman gig with Casey Musgraves.
Yeah, Casey Musgraves. Yeah, it's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's funny, I didn't even know that he was the guitar player for Casey Musgraves until I was interviewing him. He was like, oh, yeah, well, and then I've got the touring thing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, tell me about that. And he was like, and I was like, what?
Yeah. I'm playing arenas, and it's amazing. I mean, they played, 2 nights at the Bridgestone Arena here in Nashville, and it was an amazing show, and it's so great he deserves it. He's such a good singer, such a good guitarist, harmony guy. It's a really great gig for him.
Oh yeah. Agreed.
He played one gig in Andrew Leahy in the Homestead as well.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We've had a lot of people come in and out of the ranks, and I think he just kind of subbed on guitar at a venue called the High Watt, probably 2014, 2015.
Okay,
Yeah.
Very cool. So speaking about like sideman gigs, right? You are the guitar player for Elizabeth Cook, right?
I am. Yeah, I've been with her since the week that Tom Petty died. I remember that.
Oh wow. Okay.
Vividly. Yeah.
Yep. And tell me how you got connected with her and kind of what you're doing with her. Are you doing like the tours and all that stuff as well?
All the tours. So yeah, I'm like her guitarist, her band leader, her main harmony singer. But so I'm trying to think if you want the long story or the short story. I'll give you maybe the in-between.
Whatever you want to do. We have as much time as you want.
Excellent. So, when I came to Nashville in 2011, it was when like Americana music was kind of becoming this, real commercial force. And you had bands like Mumford & Sons on the radio, and, the Avery Brothers were playing the Grammys, and, there were newer bands like The Head and the Heart who were young and hip, but who were...
I love those guys.
Yeah. And, just, like really indebted to the... just like the American roots music catalog. So I felt like Americana music was really a thing. And I'd grown up in Virginia, but I'd never really identified culturally as a person, like from the South until I lived away. I lived in New York for a while. I lived in Michigan for a while. And so when this new kind of music was coming out, I felt I was just into it. It reminded me of home in a way that I didn't even know really existed. So I came to Nashville and, kind of became like an Americana guy. We put out a debut album in 2016 that is like very much an Americana record. And then after that, I kind of got it out of my system and began playing more of what I would call rock and roll. And I was really, I am really into Tom Petty. And it meant a lot to me that people kind of connected the dots with what I was doing and what he did. So, in Nashville, like maybe to a degree, I became known as like the Tom Petty guy, or like the Tom Petty, I don't know, like disciple. So when he passed away, I got a call from a venue in town called the Basement East. It's probably, I love that place. I love the guy who owns it, Mike Grimes. And he wanted me and Stadler Vaden of like Jason Isbell's band to just kind of like help put together this last minute tribute like to Tom. I think he passed away on a Monday. I think this concert was a Wednesday. And we just kind of like had a house band. We played a bunch of Petty songs. And Mike Grimes, the owner of the venue, got a bunch of guests to come through, and everybody would do 1 or 2 songs with us. So Elizabeth Cook was one of those guests. I had never met her before. I knew who she was, of course, and I remember when the Welder album came out. I don't think I ever reviewed it in my days as a journalist, but I was a fan. And so I remember walking backstage, and Elizabeth and my wife were talking, and I was like, oh, well, like, that's a good sign, because my wife is awesome and she has good taste, and she wouldn't talk to somebody who wasn't. And
Right.
and Elizabeth was gonna play Room at the Top with us that night. And, like, we'd rehearsed everything on our own, but like we hadn't had a rehearsal as a band, and I'd never met most of the singers. So just kind of, we quickly like hit the chorus harmonies before I had to go on stage. And just, it worked, our voices worked. And I remember her being on stage with me, and just, it was good, good musical chemistry.
Yeah.
And so,
great.
Later that evening, she texted me and she was like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't know how good you were. Like, those were her words. And I wrote back, and I just kind of went for it. I was like, yeah, man, if you ever want a guitarist, I don't drink, and so I can like drive the van at the end of the night. And
That's a selling point.
yeah, when Elizabeth said you're hired, and it was true, because like a couple weeks later we were on the road with Driving and Crying.
That's
and
awesome.
I've been with her ever since. So yeah, we did an album with Butch Walker a couple years, a great album.
Wow. Yeah.
Called like Aftermath. And I don't think I'm allowed to say who we're doing the new one with, but we're like actively working on a new record. And it's great. Like, as a person who enjoys kind of going back and forth between my music and other people's music, and I do a lot of that, but a lot of it is kind of like sporadic, or it'll be like a one-off tour with this one act, and then like another tour with a different act. It's really great to have Elizabeth be kind of a through line.
Yeah,
I
that's
love her
awesome.
like a sister.
That's very cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So now aside from playing guitar and harmonizing with her and being the band leader, you also have your own gig, right?
Yeah.
Andrew Leahy and the Homestead,
Yeah.
right? Tell me about how that formed and what you guys are up to.
It formed because, I was always like a music guy. My mom was a classical singer and a music teacher, and she really wanted my brother and I to like sing. So that was always around. And then just like after college, my other hustle, I guess it was kind of my backup plan. If I'm not going to make music, I'll write about music.
Okay.
And just oddly enough, I just began getting a lot of good offers on the writing side. So I graduated college and immediately went to New York to work at Spin Magazine. And
Oh wow! Did you have like a journalism degree or anything like that?
So I went to UVA, University of Virginia, and we didn't have a journalism program, but
Okay.
I was, an English like major, but then I always like interned at magazines and newspapers, and
Oh, okay.
from the
cool.
time I was like in high school onward, I was doing that kind of stuff. Like just because I really, I liked music so much, and I wanted to kind of create a culture around me. Like if I liked a band, I wanted other people to like it and know why it was good.
Right.
And so it just made sense to like write about it.
Sure.
Yeah, but like after school, I just kind of got those offers, and I just kind of wound up on that ladder for a while. And I was on it for a while, and then I kind of looked around and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I writing about other people like making music? And not only that, like why am I, because like I was at this place called allmusic.com, which is a wonderful website, but I was reviewing records, and I didn't like all of the records. And so sometimes you write a bad review, and
Right,
and then you wonder like, well, is this fair that I'm criticizing these other people who have the balls to go and make music and like not have a retirement plan, and like, whereas I'm here working like 9 to 5 in a cushy office, with in a chair with lumbar support. It didn't feel fair. So I quit that job, and my wife and I moved down here to Nashville in 2011. And I formed Andrew Leahy and the Homestead. I wanted it to sound like a band. I do want it to be a band. I love bands, and I don't want people to think of my music as like a guy on a stool playing in a coffee shop or something. And so I wanted like a name that sounded like this kind of collective, because that's what it's been. I mean, I've gone through 40 bandmates maybe.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I think part of that is because I think I burned people out, honestly. And then, and the other part is just we're in Nashville, and you have these like bass players who are like, this is my only job. So unless you need me for 200 gigs a year, I'm going to be like jumping around. So you kind of need to have like a roster of people at each position, and then you can kind of sub them out as you need to.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny. I spoke with Chris Voss from the record company.
Yeah.
And he was telling me how that band formed. He's always been kind of like a pedal to the metal, like music is my thing. That this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And he, like you said, he burned out other bandmates along the way, and then finally found two guys that are just as crazy as he is, and that's how the record company formed.
Yeah, and over the last couple of years, I found my guys also, but everybody is just at a different stage in their lives, and
Sure.
some of them have families, and I just it's worth it now to me to kind of like slow down the pace of the touring if it means that I can keep working with these people that I have the musical connection with. Whereas, before COVID, I don't know, probably for like 10 years before COVID, I had to play 100 shows a year. I felt like that was how I measured whether or not I was doing it right.
Right.
And especially after the brain surgery thing, which you might want to talk about later, that
Yeah,
kind of
I don't
really
even
picked
know
up.
about that. So yeah,
Oh, yeah?
Whenever you're ready, fire away.
I had a brain tumor and I had brain surgery.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So that would have been 2013. I'd been in Nashville for like a year and a half, and so it was a new band still. But we were hitting the ground running, and we were like touring on a national level, like right from the start, playing music festivals. We had some early success at radio, and it was awesome. It was like it was happening. But I was also having like hearing issues in my right ear, and it didn't matter if like the drum set was like on my right or my left, it would always be a hearing issue in my right ear. And it also just kind of had some other kind of correlated issues, like my balance was off. I was having horrible migraines, and eventually I just got the diagnosis that I had a brain tumor called an acoustic neuroma. Neuroma means a nerve tumor, and acoustic is the kind of nerve that it was. It was my hearing nerve.
Okay.
And so, the doctors were like, we do recommend brain surgery. And I was like, okay, are there any other options? What happens if we don't do brain surgery? And they were like, well, you'll lose your hearing in that ear, and then you will lose your balance on the right side of your body, and then you'll lose your ability to move the right side of your face. It'll be paralyzed, and then your tumor will get large enough that it pushes against your brainstem and you die.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, okay, so there's no other option. It was like the way around that issue was through it. So I had brain surgery late 2013, really had to pause everything musically. Everything in every sense of the word for about a year or so. I pushed it. I went back on the road really soon afterward, and then just kind of, prevented my recovery from happening as quickly as it would have.
Okay.
Yeah, and then eventually got better and put out my debut album in 2016. But it took a while to kind of just work out what the lessons are when you go through a thing like that. I'm still working that out.
Yeah, so I think you're the first person in my life I've ever spoken to that's had any kind of like major surgery like that. And I'm just kind of curious, did the issues that you were having, did they pretty much resolve right away, or did they take a while to go away? What was that recovery process like?
Yeah. They told me that the operation would unleash my migraines. It would keep getting worse, or, it would keep happening. But it's one of those things where if I didn't do it, I would, eventually I would die.
Sure.
And they gave me kind of a set of odds too. Like I had a 1 in 2 chance of losing the hearing in my right ear as a result of the operation. Just, a 1 in 2 chance of waking up on the operating table and that hearing is gone. But again, it was 100% guaranteed that it would be gone if I let it kind of go unoperated. I woke up and it was, it was okay. They had kept my hearing.
Nice.
I continue to get migraines maybe once a week or so. It's why it's why I don't drink, honestly, just because it aggravates my migraines. Even though I've got a coffee in my hand right now, I'll do that maybe once or twice a week.
Yeah, because caffeine can set them off too, right?
Yeah, so it can't, it can't be an everyday kind of thing. I just have to watch myself in a way that I wouldn't otherwise. And I didn't, especially back in the early days of touring. I was doing what you do. It's like the beer is free, so you drink the beer. And you need the coffee to drive 8 hours every morning. So you drink the coffee. And it's kind of a good reminder to, just kind of keep myself in check. But I do resent it sometimes because I just want to go. I want to play music. I don't want to be hindered. So it's, it's like what I went through. It's both it's like the fuel that kind of pushes me along. And it's also like an obstacle in my path. And again, I'm trying to work out kind of what the right answers are, because, you know, I mentioned earlier, like burning out musicians, you know, for the first couple years into my recovery, I wanted to play all the shows. I mean, in 2016, the year that my debut album came out, we played 175, which is a lot. And it wasn't easy touring. I mean, I didn't know at the time how to really like invest a band or offer them, you know, like a proper amenities. So we were splitting one hotel room. You know, you're in a hotel bed with somebody else. Sometimes it's a person you don't really, you know, know all that well.
Right.
And I would just, you know, but I just had it in my mind, like, you could be told tomorrow that you have a brain tumor. And so, like, you have to just go and play every show and, like, you know, like, ring the bell as loudly as you can so it'll keep resonating when you're gone. And it's not that I don't believe that anymore, but I understand that other people don't have that experience. Yeah. So I just, you know, I've learned to chill out to a degree.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess that's good, right? You know, we go through these things and learn the lessons from them. So it sounds like it's all working out for you. So that's great. Yeah.
And again, it's you know, you can really let it, you know, like fuel you and push you along. And I learned not to take anything for granted. I don't think I was actively taking music for granted beforehand, but once I thought that that my ability to hear it could be taken away. I mean, I remember the morning that I went to the hospital, and again, the kind of the odds, the 1 in 2 chance that I would lose the hearing on my right ear, that was absolutely going through my head. So on the way to the hospital, I wanted to hear what could be the last song I would ever hear in stereo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was it?
I turned on the radio, and it just happened to be a Tom Petty song. It was A Face in the Crowd.
Wow. Check that out.
And it sounded so beautiful. And, you know, because, I mean, you know, it's, you know, like Jeff Lynne production is like very kind of like immersive anyway. But I had never heard music before like I heard it in that moment. And I remember being like, oh, God, I've learned this lesson at the 11th hour that, like, you know, because it's like, it's not just enough to appreciate music, just appreciating sound is amazing. And it's a thing that, I mean, luckily most of us are born with. So we don't even like know to appreciate it until we get older and, you know, we begin to blow out our eardrums. But I was like,
you don't know what you've got till it's gone, right?
Yeah. But I was like 29 years old or something, having that realization and kind of worrying, like, is this going to be the last song I hear in stereo? And luckily it wasn't. But trying to remember how good that song sounded in that moment. It's good. It makes you not take anything for granted. But again, you can let that kind of make you a crazy person too. And I have let it make me a crazy person. So I'm
what was the first song you listened to after surgery? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. It was Iron and Wine, and it sounded terrifying because I had this and this lasted for maybe a couple weeks. I had kind of like a demonic interval happening in my right ear because, you know, they'd gone into my head and gone into my ear canal and poked around. So you know, I think just like while it was healing, I heard everything in 2 pitches with a slight slapback echo. And
really?
It was everything, whether it was, you know, like music or my own voice or a cough or my cat meowing. And so my wife, trying to calm me down because everything hurt so bad for like 3 months. She put on Iron and Wine. It was the Woman King EP, which is such a beautiful record. And I lasted 20 seconds. I was like, you have to stop this. Because, you know, like he's harmonizing with himself like 20 times. It's a very kind of like lush album. And it just sounded like 3 million demons just growling at me. And I don't remember what I kind of heard as that began to subside. I wish I could. I mean, it was such a weird... You know, it's like doctors want me to keep a headache journal just so I have a record of like how often I get them. But I don't like keeping a chronicle of my pain. I like to kind of like forget it. So a lot of that era, I don't remember as much.
I got it. I got you. I get it.
Yeah.
I almost feel silly asking this question, but you know, I think it's interesting to me and I'm genuinely curious. So, you know, after a surgery like that, you know, especially the brain, right? You hear these stories about how, like, you know, people have head traumas and they become a completely different person, right? Personality change.
Yeah.
Any nuances, any differences before and after the surgery?
You'd have to,
Like, did you not like tomatoes and now you love them, or something weird like that?
no, you'd have to ask my wife about that. Luckily, I think the place in the brain where they operated, it doesn't really control behavior like that.
Okay.
I mean, I do think that I'm a different person, but again, I think it's the result of those lessons and just kind of the, it's like carpe diem to the max.
Right, I bet. Yep.
In a good way and a bad way.
Sure.
And that will change your personality and your work ethic. But no, I don't think there was anything like that. I mean, I like spicy food now, but I think that's just a result of watching Hot Ones on YouTube.
Oh, I love watching Hot Ones.
Oh, he's such a good interviewer. Yeah.
And I've started to eat more spicy food too. Like I bought their hot sauce out of curiosity. And I was like, oh, this is, and I was never a spicy food guy. It's so funny.
I wasn't either. It was like a COVID era thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just began watching that, and yeah, I'm going to put some more hot sauce on my food. Now I love it. Yep. But I like the flavor more than I like the heat. I like both.
Right. I'm the same way. Yep.
I'm flavor forward.
Now I know to a lot of hot sauce folks, I'm going to sound super lame.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with what's it called? Cholula.
Okay.
I know that's not super spicy, but for me it kind of is, and I just love the flavor. I put it on my eggs. I put it on everything. Well, it's great.
Where do you live? What part of the country are you in?
I live in Jersey. I'm in southern New Jersey, outside of Philadelphia.
Lovely. What kind of like Cherry Hill area or something?
Yeah, actually, my girlfriend lives in Cherry Hill. I'm 10 minutes from Cherry Hill.
Cool.
Yep.
My car got broken into in Cherry Hill once, but
did it really?
But I love it still. But I asked because in Nashville there's a musician, my buddy named Jeremy Lister. He's a great voice. He's actually on the road now as a harmony singer with Post Malone. But
oh wow,
he has his own hot sauce line called Blister.
Okay,
I assume you can order it online, and it's so good. And it's one of it would be closer to Cholula than the kind of blow your mouth off crazy hot sauce. Check that out. And to all your listeners, Blister. I don't get any commission.
Blister hot sauce by Jeremy Lister.
There's a green one and a red one and a really hot one. I recommend the green if you have to choose
awesome.
one.
Yeah, definitely. I'll check it out. And yeah, maybe I'll reach out to him to be on the podcast. That's awesome.
Cool.
All right, cool. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your band, right? I mean, you were before we got into the brain surgery thing, we were talking about kind of how you formed and went through a number of different bandmates. For those listeners that don't really know anything about your music,
yeah,
and you touched on a little bit already, but kind of give me an idea of kind of what your sound is like, what the genre is, things like that.
Yeah, and it's changed too. And I don't know if you listened to the newest or it's the upcoming record, but that's way different. But I guess I'll begin at the beginning. We were talking about how I came to Nashville in the Americana boom, and I do think that a lot of the music that I would classify as rock and roll, like let's just take for example like the Wildflowers, like a record by Tom Petty. Yeah. If that came out today, I think it would be classified as Americana because
absolutely,
because it's not rock and roll in the vein of like Jack White or the Foo Fighters, and like maybe there's more roll than rock, but like that's the kind of rock and roll that I really resonate with. I call it like heartland rock and roll, and I particularly love an '80s vibe, whether it's him or Bryan Adams or something like that. I like when there's a lot of like reverb and just really big hooks.
Yeah.
So my band has kind of had this progression from, I guess, more kind of like down the middle Americana. I can say that. I think our debut record is not. It's my least, like a favorite of the catalog. And then we put out this album called Airwaves next, and I love that record. That's like a pop rock record. It's a Tom Petty-esque record. It's our most successful one. We got some songs on the radio, and they were on AAA radio. So it's kind of in that vein. And then over COVID, we released like a double album called American Static, 18 tracks, and that kind of goes all over the map. There's, there is that Tom Petty thing for sure, but there's some kind of, like Talking Heads-ish moments. There's some like Beatles moments, but the whole thing is kind of like building toward where we are now, which is like I'm finally scratching that 80s itch because I was born in the 80s and I was young when the decade ended, but I feel like I just absorbed the, like that music that was just kind of like orbiting my adolescent head at the time. I really like how a lot of that music is very syncopated. I like how it's immersive. And again, like Tom Petty, Bryan Adams, but also Cyndi Lauper and Madonna and INXS and the Cars.
Yep.
And so the new record that is coming out, I don't have a date yet, but probably October or
Okay.
so. It's like very much, I mean, I would call it a pop rock record, but there's a lot of synth that I'm playing.
Nice.
I'm worried we're going to be kicked out of the Americana Cool Kids Club, which is fine if they kick us out. It's fine. But I just
you got to follow your heart, right?
yeah, and I wanted to make a record for the sake of the music and not the music industry. Maybe
Yeah. Yep.
it's so hard to, but it's hard for us, if I'm being honest, just to make a living with our music. Like
Sure.
I enjoy playing for other people, but that's also part necessity. Like I need to be on stage, and if I'm always the band leader and just I need to make $800 a day just to stay afloat. Sometimes you don't do that. It's hard to do that when you're opening with somebody and they're paying you like $300 to open.
Sure.
So playing with other people, it allows me to kind of scratch that itch. And then I work as a journalist still. So I just over the last couple of years, I just kind of asked myself it's okay to make a record that's maybe more for me and less for what our audience is used to. Like they're used to us being a little bit more of a heartland rock and roll band, but let's give them something that sounds a lot more like INXS and is very syncopated.
Yeah.
And, has guitar parts that maybe sound more like Steve Lukather and less like Mike Campbell, even though I love Mike.
I think that's very cool though, because aside from AC/DC and maybe the Stones, right? Every other band in the world has evolved, right? Look at Metallica, right? And I'm going to bring them up because they're in town tonight and last night, right? They're playing Philly. And I was a hardcore old school Metallica guy. Everything prior to the Black Album is the greatest music ever created, right? In my opinion. But yeah, I mean, the Black Album and beyond, they are almost a completely different band, but they're gigantic, right? They had to evolve, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think as an artist, right, you've got to scratch that itch. You've got to do what you want to do as far as your art. Sure, you could paint the same red square painting every year, but it's gonna be the same thing, right? And yeah, you might have a couple of hardcore fans kind of fall off, but they're still going to listen to your old stuff, but you're going to gather a whole bunch of new fans because of this new stuff. And then they're going to go back into your anthology and be like, "Oh, I listened to this. This is awesome. Have you heard this one?" So I dig it. I think you should evolve.
I appreciate that. Well, and just playing with other people has helped me be a better guitarist. I think playing other kinds of music also helps me be just a better musician in general, because as a guitarist, I tend to get hired by, I've played with Elizabeth Cook. I played with Steve Earle and Rodney Crowell and just a bunch of people who are great, but they're all in that roots music world. And there's a certain, there's certain kind of go-to moves on guitar. It's a lot more chord based. Doing this other kind of music, it's just kind of unlocked something, and it feels cool and interesting. And, I like the challenge of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're talking about the 80s, I think what kind of gets overlooked a little bit, is the musicians back then. A lot of them were prodigies, aficionados, right? Especially in the hairband world. I mean, all of those guys, Reb Beach and CeCe DeVille, all those,
and I like that stuff.
Mick Mars. Those guys are incredible musicians, and it just gets overlooked because of the eyeliner and hairspray.
And poor CeCe DeVille, he gets such shit. Everybody is like, "Oh, he's a bad guitarist." I never understood that. Even when I was 8 years old, and I was hearing from the people who would write into Hit Parader complaining about CeCe DeVille. I was like, I think it sounds pretty good. He's the only guitarist in that band. It's hard when you're the only guitarist in a band. I've done gigs like that. We've played as a power trio a lot when we can't get our other guitarist to come out with us. And it changes everything about how you play. It changes how you solo. It's hard.
Sure. Yeah, you got to hold it down.
You got to hold it down, and it's it's scary when the bottom drops out when you go play a solo. It's like all of a sudden there's no floor beneath you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel you,
do love a
CC.
trio, though. I do love a trio. There's something about a trio, like, I guess because I'm a huge John Mayer fan.
A John Mayer trio, yeah.
Yeah, when he came out with that trio with him and Pino Palladino and Steve Jordan, I was like floored. I was like, all that sound is coming from 3 guys. It was crazy.
With a band lineup like that, too, that's pretty amazing. I remember when they came out.
Yep.
Yeah, because, it's like, I knew that he had gone to Berkeley. I knew that he was a really good musician, but what's the debut album, Room for Squares? It doesn't always showcase that. I feel like he kind of sanded away some of the cooler, sharp edges of his playing just because he like needed to get on the radio. And then kind of once he had an audience, it was like, okay, here's what I can actually do. And that was really interesting.
Yeah, very much so. I did want to touch on a couple things that you had mentioned a couple seconds ago. So, you've got the Elizabeth Cook stuff, you've got your own stuff, and then you said you're still a journalist, right? Or still write.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, so for years I was at Rolling Stone, and they have an office here in Nashville. So like that's who I worked for. And I was never an employee, but I worked every day from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. just like writing about country stuff. And
So you were like a freelance writer for Rolling Stone?
I was somewhere between like freelance and in-house.
Okay.
Because it was every day, but I got paid like a freelancer. But this was all throughout the area or the era of when I was on the road playing 175 shows.
Oh, wow.
So I would be on the road. We'd play the show at night. I'd wake up early, like the next morning. I'd work for a couple hours. I'd get everybody else up. I'd get everybody in the van. I'd make somebody else drive until 1 p.m. so I could like be in the back seat writing about Carrie Underwood or Garth Brooks or whatever the hell I was writing about. But eventually, I'm lucky in that like the New York office of Rolling Stone has written about my music. And it just got to a point where I was like, this might look like nepotism. This might look weird that my name is on some articles and then my name is in some articles as well because they're writing about us. So I don't really like do that kind of writing anymore. Like these days, I just write press releases for record labels.
Oh, okay, cool.
And my main gig is writing bios for bands. And if your listeners aren't aware of what that is, when there's a new album that is coming out for a band, they need as part of their PR package, just like a document, like a one-page kind of like a narrative of like who this band is, what this album is, and how it fits into the catalog. And if it's a new band, you need to like introduce like who the band is and why they are and where they are and what they are. And if it's a legacy act, you just kind of explain like what they've been doing and then what this new album is all about. So I do that, and I do that every day. So like this week, for example, whose bios am I writing? I wrote one for Ketch Secor of Old Crow Medicine Show. He has his like a debut solo album coming out. I don't want to mention anything that hasn't been announced yet. I'm writing I'm writing a bio for the classic rock band 38 Special.
Oh, really? Nice.
They have a new album coming out, their first album in 20 some years.
Oh, wow.
Just like every day I'm writing this stuff, and it's cool because it kind of keeps me in the world of music. And I feel like the fact that I am a musician, it makes me a little bit, I don't know, like maybe like it helps me get inside the music a bit more. And it just like holds me accountable. I don't want to give anybody a bio that might be a piece of shit.
Right. So how do those bio gigs come about? I mean, do people just email you and be like, "Hey, I need a bio," like, or do you have a service of some kind?
I mean, for a while, I think it usually comes from the publicists or it comes from the labels. But for like a decade plus, I was working as a journalist in a more kind of like visible capacity. So my name is on the Rolling Stone articles. I was one of the like head editors at allmusic.com for 4 years, from 2007 to 2011. And so I think like publicists just kind of became aware that I could do that kind of thing. But now, the work just comes to me. I don't ever solicit it, or I haven't had to, which is very lucky. And it's always like, it's like 110% of what I can competently like take on, but I take it all on because as a freelancer, I know the work is going to dry up from I don't know, like November through early January, where like a lot of albums aren't coming out and people aren't really focused on that. So you got to make hay when the sun is shining, as they say. And the sun is shining right now because it's a lot of hay coming in. I'm just trying to sort it all.
Yeah, no, that's great. I something that comes. So a lot of my listeners are, how do I describe it? They're not professional musicians. I have a lot of musician friends who are listeners of my show. Put it that way.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of up and coming. Not on major labels. They're all indie artists, right? And I was just something that keeps bubbling up in these conversations that I have, whether it's somebody who's just kind of starting out or somebody who's more established like yourself or Ben or whatever. Music nowadays is relatively difficult to really make a living on, unless you have the multiple streams of income, right? Unless you diversify, right?
It really is. And for a while, I used to be kind of ashamed of that. Like, oh, I'm not a real musician if I have, like this other hustle, or I'm not a real solo artist if I'm also playing guitar for somebody else. But just to be in that world, like just to be, on stage and getting to contribute to original music, whether it's Elizabeth's or my own, I have to view that as like, that is a win. Because if you had told me at 18 years old that I'd get to be on the road with Willy Nelson, I wouldn't have said, well, is it my band or my friend's band? Like,
right. You would just be like, holy shit, Willy Nelson.
Yeah. And we weren't just on the road with Willy Nelson, like Mike Campbell was opening as well. So I got to meet my guitar hero, and he signed my Les Paul, and I got to talk to him.
Oh, is that whose signature's on your white Les Paul? Okay. I was wondering.
Honestly, I thought he was going to sign the back, and he signed the front. It's like getting a neck tattoo, and I've just had to be like, I've just had to own it. Like, yes, right? I like this. And I do like it. But when I look at pictures of my Les Paul before it was signed, I'm like, man, that looks so clean and cool.
Yeah. Especially a white Les Paul. I mean, it's just a clean instrument anyway.
It just, I mean, it's just kind of graffitied now. It's got Mike Campbell's tag on it. But I mean, he's how I learned to play lead guitar. When I came to Nashville, I was just a rhythm player. I had my Les Paul, I had my AC30, but I didn't play lead. And I would always have like other people in my band play the riffs. And it wasn't until I was touring so much and kind of, like burning through members of my band, like I mentioned earlier. Like every tour we would do, there would be somebody new on electric guitar, and it would change the whole timbre of the band, and it would change the sound. And so I just kind of realized, like, okay, if I want to have any kind of consistency, it can't just be my voice and my songwriting driving the ship. I have to have more of an instrumental role. So I began to kind of slowly learn my own riffs. Kind of like learn the patterns on the guitar, then learn how to connect those patterns. And then, I mentioned in town, in Nashville, I became, I guess, known as like this like Tom Petty dude. And, there was this like Tom Petty, it was like a yearly show where like a bunch of people in Nashville would get together and play Tom Petty songs. And I became the house guitarist in that band.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Just kind of like bluffed my way into it. They're like, oh, you have an AC30 and a Les Paul. You can clearly play Mike's parts. And I couldn't at first. I worked really hard and just kind of learned how he did it. And then just like eventually I was just like, I guess I'm a lead guitarist now. But just, like being able to be on tour with him and like talk to him.
Yeah, how did that come? I mean, he's your guitar hero, so let's dive in a little bit of how you ended up on tour with him or met him and all that stuff.
So it was Willy Nelson's, what is it called? Like the Outlaw Road Show or the Outlaw Music Festival. He does it every year where it's a bunch of bands. And so the year that we did it, which was 2023, I think, it was Elizabeth, it was the Avett Brothers, Mike Campbell, Government Mule, and Willy Nelson.
Okay, cool.
And Waylon Payne, too. And it just... an amazing lineup, and one just like all day, like music all day. And so I got to meet Mike, and I got to ask him about, like writing Boys of Summer, which is just one of the best songs of all time. And like he told me that he wrote that, like he tried to give it to Tom, and Tom, like didn't want it, so he took it to Don Henley, and Don Henley put words to it, and they recorded the whole thing. And then like after they'd recorded it, Don was like, it needs to be higher. So they kind of scrapped everything they'd done and re-recorded it, which means somewhere there's a recording of Boys of Summer in a lower key. Yeah. And like, I would refinance my house and pay $4,000 to hear that. I would kill somebody to hear that.
Yeah, right. That would
Not
be
really.
cool.
Don't want to arrest me, anybody. But
I know what you're saying.
just it's amazing that exists somewhere, because that it's just like that song is incredible. And like I feel like the album that we made, like the new album, the 80s sounding album, I'm trying to scratch whatever itch I get from Boys of Summer.
Yeah. That's cool. I love it. So you met him, and then, like, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about eventually meeting. Hopefully, I'll eventually meet some of my heroes, like maybe Angus Young or John Mayer, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what I would do if I was in the same room with them. I might be a bumbling idiot, But like, how did it come about that you were like, "Can you sign my guitar?" Like, were you just like, "I'm gonna do it"?
Yeah, that was the end. So we'd done the tour for 3 weeks, maybe, and we were the only band in a van. Everybody else was in a bus. Sure. And our tour manager, the guy that we had intended to be our tour manager and our driver, had gotten COVID like right before we left. And this was, I think maybe it was 2022. I don't know. COVID was a very present concern, and Willy Nelson is a million years old.
Oh, sure.
And so we had COVID tests every day, because it's like, you don't want to be the person who infects Willy Nelson and kills Willy Nelson. So
that's going to be the tagline of this episode. You don't want to be the person that kills Willy Nelson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, at least. So in order for the tour to keep happening, I was like, I'll tour manage, I'll drive. So we were waking up early every morning and like chasing the bus across Florida, and like loading in at 12 p.m. noon and checking really early, and then going on at like 5 p.m. where the sun is just bright and shining, because we were the first.
Yeah.
But by the end of that period, kind of like everybody on tour kind of becomes friends.
Okay.
And, like Elizabeth Cook and Mike are friends. And Elizabeth knew that I was such a big fan. So if she and Mike and his wife Marcy were eating or something, she'd call me over, and I would try to play it cool and not ask Mike too many questions. But by the end of it, he was watching our sets, and he was really complimentary. And
wow.
I mean, not to just congratulate myself, but I mean, I remember him saying, he was like, "I could hear you. Your lead sounded immaculate. No, your tone sounded immaculate on those leads," which is such
awesome.
A good compliment.
Yeah.
And his guitar tech was this guy named Mike Chinner, who had also worked with like the Heartbreakers from like 1990 onward. So like that guy is a legend as well, and kind of an unsung hero. I mean, everybody knows who Mike Campbell is, but you don't know who the guitar tech for the Heartbreakers and Mike is, unless you know. And and it was Mike who heard me say, like, after we played our last set, and I saw Mike on the side of the stage listening to us, I said, just kind of to myself, I was like, man, it would have been cool if like Mike had played my guitar, and Mike Chinner heard me and was like, and just kind of grabbed my guitar and took it over to Mike Campbell.
Nice.
And it came back with an autograph on it.
That's amazing.
Which, it is amazing. And it just kind of blew my mind. And, I took it back to Nashville and, had them, like put some kind of epoxy on it. So I'm not going to ever like rub it off with my sweaty arm when I'm on stage.
Okay, cool. Nice.
I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe some people would say that's pretty assuming of Mike Campbell just to deface your Les Paul, but it was absolutely what I wanted. And again, I thought it was going to be on the back, whatever.
No, it's cool. It's definitely gives it character. We wouldn't be talking about it right now if it was on the back. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, he could autograph the hood of my car, and I'd be fine. He could autograph the front of my house, and I would be fine.
So I don't know if I'm interpreting your Instagram post correctly, but did something happen to that guitar? Because you had said that you were using a different guitar, and now you got your Les Paul back.
Something. Just I was out on tour for a month with a guy named Sam Outlaw, who's a great Americana artist, and I was playing keys and guitar, and that was really cool to do both. But just because of how hard it is to move around Europe and tour, kind of in a DIY capacity, we didn't have a tour manager with us. It was just us kind of getting ourselves from country to country. And because of the baggage limit, I was playing, my good friend Katie Bates, I was playing her guitar because she already had a guitar with her. She was on tour with us.
Cool.
And so it was a Jazzmaster. So I played that, and I left my Les Paul at home just because we didn't have any room for that. So yeah, like for a month I was playing a different guitar, and I've got a bunch of other guitars, but they're usually, usually in a show I'll play my Les Paul, and then for one or two songs I'm like, okay, I'm going to play a Strat, or I'm going to play, my guitar with a Bigsby. I've never played a whole tour without my Les Paul. So yeah, I was a Jazzmaster guy for a minute, but I loved it actually. I loved it.
I was going to say, I mean, a Jazzmaster is definitely different from a Les Paul. So what did you fall in love with it, or did you hate it?
I fell in love with it for sure.
Yeah.
And it she had a tremolo bar with it as well. And when you're in Europe, going from country to country, like the power, the like a voltage changes. And so you need like a different converter for your pedals. And sometimes your pedals just won't work. And I mean, I'm sure it's user error, but I'm going to go ahead and blame it on the Netherlands. We were in the Netherlands, just like half the time the pedals would work, half the time they didn't. I was like the new guy in this band. I was the only new guy in this band. Everybody else had played together. And on those nights when the pedals wouldn't work and I would just have to plug like straight into the amp, like that trem bar saved my life, because it's kind of like it's kind of like a guitar pedal in itself, and it gives like a new texture, because like otherwise it's just like straight guitar without any reverb even. I don't know if that amp had reverb. We would just get a backlined amp every show, so it would change.
Oh, right.
So so that trem bar saved my life. And especially with Sam Outlaw's music, it's kind of Western. It's almost like you can kind of create these cool Western textures without plugging into anything. So I love that Jazzmaster. And
that's really cool.
It hasn't been announced yet, but we're going out again, back to Europe later this fall.
Awesome.
And I'll be reunited, like not only with those like people in the band that I love, but also that guitar that I love.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. How about your band, the Homestead? Are you guys going out on tour anytime soon?
Yeah. And again, we don't do as much as we used to. I think it meant a lot to me for whatever reason. I think it was ego, maybe just to be thought of as this like road warrior. And I am still. I probably play 100 gigs a year, but it's with a lot of bands. Like in the past, sure. I like really like needed it for ego reasons to be with my band. And again, that I burned bridges. I burned myself up, and I burnt out a lot of people that I loved who would play music with me. So now it means enough that I play with like the right players. My guitarist Jay, who has 2 kids who are under 4 years old, he can't play 100 gigs a year. Sure. So we'll do the music festivals. We'll do like the things that count. If we get a good opening run, and I can plead with his wife Jenna, and I'm like, please let Jay come out with us, then that'll work. So we're doing, going out and playing a festival that we love in Appleton, Wisconsin, called Mile of Music. Okay. We're doing that. Playing some big shows in Nashville, playing the Bluebird in Nashville, which is like a songwriter venue. But
when is that? I've been there. When is that?
That hasn't been announced, but I can say it's actually here. I can just open up the calendar on my computer. It's September 21st, which is cool.
Okay. Nice. September 21st at the Bluebird. That's nice.
Yeah.
I was there in August. First time, only time I've been there. It's great.
Well, and we get to play as a band, and like we went through an era of playing a lot of house shows because we played this music cruise called the Rock Boat, which we love, and that kind of like that has this culture, this kind of like spin-off culture of all these house shows that are hosted by the people who will go on the Rock Boat. So right before COVID, we were playing a bunch of those, and kind of we learned how to play as a band to keep our tones, keep it a rock show, but you're playing somebody's living room. Sure. You don't want to like blow the windows out. So that really comes into play at the Bluebird. It's a challenge to kind of keep the tone and keep the like anthemic nature of these songs, but to also keep it appropriate for a venue that is used to acoustic guitars.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So I'm looking forward to that. And then, I'm playing with, like I mentioned, I'm playing with Sam later this year. I'm playing with a guy named Will Hogue, if you know Will.
Okay. No, I don't.
Great artist, and like his guitarist just can't make it for a week's worth of shows, so I'm jumping in, playing with him. Nice. Playing with a guy named Ian No, also great artist. Yeah, so I'm just kind of like juggling the sideman and the frontman thing.
That's cool.
And then, although like this hasn't been announced either, I think I'll be playing a bunch of European dates as Andrew Leahy.
Nice.
probably playing solo at the end of the year, and that'll be when the new album is out. So even though that new album is very much a band album and very much like a pop rock album where there should be a keyboardist, I'm going to be translating these songs onto acoustic guitar.
Oh, cool.
And and honestly, that is what a lot of these countries in Europe want. Like,
okay,
I've toured every year in Norway for a long time, and they love Nashville music. They love Americana music. And I think they're maybe a little, like the Norwegians who've heard the new album are like, oh, we don't know about this. But, I write most of the songs on acoustic guitar, and they're still, at their core, they are what my songs have always been. It's just, chords and melody. It's just how you dress it up that kind of changes it. And I'm looking forward to kind of assuaging Norway's concerns and just being like, these are just, it's the Andrew Leahy that you love. It's okay.
Just a little more electricity. Like what's the saying in the movie Crossroads? Muddy waters invented electricity.
Yeah. Yeah. And just kind of like the years coming up, I think it's just going to be kind of what I said earlier. I think if I'm on stage, if I'm contributing to anybody's music, it doesn't have to be my own. I'm happy. And it's okay now with my career to make music for music's sake and not the music industry's sake. I don't need to, I think if I was trying to make my music my only thing and trying to, really monetize it, I couldn't play the kind of music that I want to play because rock and roll isn't the commercial force it once was. And I don't want to play country pop. I don't want to turn my band into that kind of thing if that's the only thing that makes money. That's just not, I'm happy to play other people's music and make money. When it comes to my band, I have to just make music.
Sure. No, I think that's awesome. I think it's great. I am curious about like when you're filling in for somebody else, like you said, this other guy, his guitarist can't make it for like a week's worth of shows.
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, I play guitar and I could noodle around if I know what the key is, but like, do they give you a song list and say, here, learn all these songs, or what's that look like?
Yeah. And it's like, it's a challenge. It depends kind of, it depends on the artist. So kind of my one glimpse into the country pop world was, I pitch hit for the guitarist, who was playing with a guy named Rodney Atkins, who's like a country pop, like hit maker, like #1 songs. It's real. I mean, it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is I don't think he's watching right now, but sorry, Rodney, you're not my thing. But I wanted a glimpse of that world. I wanted to know what it was like to play with in-ears. I wanted to know what it was like to play to tracks. And we were opening for Lainey Wilson. It was like,
oh, wow.
It was like very much a glimpse into that world. But for them, their whole show is on tracks. So, so what I got was just like, I got like the show as I would hear it in my in-ears, where this, this like computerized voice is like chorus 2, 3, 4 kind of. So the whole thing is on a grid.
Oh, wow.
And I knew the songs and I was able to practice to that. And to a degree it was less creative. It was more like, painting in the lines, but at least I knew exactly where the lines were.
Yeah. Like a color with numbers type thing.
Absolutely. It was a challenge. I was happy to meet it. But it wasn't as fulfilling. And then, if it's like Will Hogue or, like Steve Earle or Michaela Ann or somebody that I've played with along like those lines, it'll just be like, here's the set list and I'll just have the songs and I will try to like intuit, what this other person is going to play and what I need to play. I mean, like none of those people that I mentioned are lead players. So I know when the solos happen, I should kind of keep enough of the blueprint so it sounds like the solo.
Right.
If it's like a signature riff or a sig lick, as we say, I learn those and then I try to match like the guitar tone. But also if they're hiring me, I mean, I'm not the best guitarist in any room in Nashville. There's like so many guys with long hair and beards who play, guitar. I can harmonize pretty well, and I think I'm a good hang. So I try to bring that, but then I just try to play guitar the way I play it, But it is a challenge, and I think like looking on YouTube, trying to learn if they do a song in a different key or if they extend a thing, like just trying to like be prepared for that is good. And then just once you're on stage, just listen and just like be aware and try not to play chords, try to play music, you know, like,
right.
you know, and so that's what I try to do. But it's
awesome.
always, it's hard to not be in your head because you're the new guy, and
Sure.
you don't want the other people in the band to be like, oh, like the new guy over here, he messed up, or the new guy is loud, or the new guy has a chorus pedal on and is very inappropriate for this song. I don't want to be that person. I just try to fit in. And I mean, you know, I remember when I came to town and I wasn't playing for other people. I was just playing with my own band. Like, you know, I knew all the other like instrumentalists in town because I'd be trying to hire them in my band. Like, I knew the people who played bass. I knew the people who played drums, but I didn't know a lot of the front people just because there wouldn't be an opportunity to really hang out with them. And when I would like meet them at parties, I'd be like, God, I like you. And we're kind of the same person and we do the same thing. And I want to hang out with you. And that was part of what kind of pushed me into saying yes when people would ask me to play with them. It's like, yeah, I just want to know you. And I feel like the best, I don't know, and maybe not, I mean, like, this isn't a rule, but a lot of the really great guitarists in people's bands are good because they have their own bands, whether it's Sadler Vaden in Jason Isbell's band. He's so great in that role, but it's because he like fronted his own band for years. Or, you know, before Aaron Lee Tasjan went solo, he played, you know, with the New York Dolls, and he played with Drivin' and Cryin'. And it's just, I like being that role for others. And before he passed away, there was this guy named Neil Casal, who was a wonderful solo artist, and that's how I met him. But he also played for Ryan Adams. He played for Chris Robertson of the Black Crowes when he had his own, you know, his own project. And like Neil gave me great advice as I was beginning to play with other people. He was like, you know, you should be in other people's band, the kind of person that you want in your own band.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And it's such great advice, and I've tried to kind of keep that in my head whenever I do it, and it makes me a better front man when I'm with my own band, because you know, you learn. I know how I feel invested when other people are the head guy and I'm playing for them, so it kind of gives me a new perspective on how to invest the guys in my band when we are playing with my band.
That's awesome. I love that. So living in Nashville, I love going to Nashville. I try to make it down there once a year. I'm actually going to be down there over New Year's Eve. I'm flying in on the 23rd, and I'm leaving January 5th. So if you're playing anywhere in town, let me know, because I want to come.
I will. You should. Yeah. If you stay, and you won't, but you should. If you stay for a month, on January 25th, we're doing this thing that we do every year. It's like the Traveling Wilburys tribute show. So it happens at the Basement East, which again is my just like number one venue in town.
Where is that in Nashville, or is that in East Nashville, or where is that?
Yeah, it's in like East Nashville, but it's
East Nashville. Okay.
All part of the same. Well, actually, it's not part of the same zip code. But I mean, it's within a mile and a half of Lower Broadway. But culturally, it's a world away from that. But it's kind of like, you know, for me, it's like the best of both worlds in terms of what I do. Musically, because it's like a charity show. We give all the money to this animal nonprofit in town.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And we play the music of the Traveling Wilburys, and we play the music of the like individual Wilburys. So we'll do like Roy Orbison songs.
Oh, okay.
You know, like we'll do a Beatles song if it was a George Harrison, like a vocal or co-write. And it's my band, like it's an expanded version of my house band. Sorry, of my band playing as like the house band. So we have the strings. We have the harmonies.
Oh, that's so cool.
And we have a bunch of guests come in and out, like performing songs. So we've had like Butch Walker, we've had Raul Malo with the Mavericks, Nicole Atkins, we had John Oates of Hall & Oates.
Oh, wow, nice.
It's my favorite thing that I do every year. And it's
the Basement East on January 25th, I think you said, right?
It's the last weekend of January every year. I mean, you should come back. You shouldn't be in Nashville for a year. That's a long time.
I would. Well, I don't know if you know Randy Kors. He's a producer. He owns Slack Key Studios in Nashville. And yeah, he invited me to like a Christmas party, like, and it's like 2 weeks before I'm going to be in Nashville. So it's like, oh no, do we go to that? Like, I don't know what to do. So.
You just got to, you know, like make recurring pilgrimages.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's, you know, I feel like it's not fair to say there's a right way and a wrong way to do Nashville, but just like going to New York City, I feel like if you didn't have anybody telling you otherwise, you might be like, I'm going to go to Times Square. That's where, you know, like that's some real authentic New York stuff. And it's
No,
not
it's not.
necessarily, and just like Lower Broadway here is what a lot of people think of when they think of
Right.
Nashville. They think of the honky tonks and the neon signs. And
Yep.
I understand why they would, but it's not indicative of Nashville culture. So
Right.
I'll give you all the advice on like the venues where like real Nashvillians go and the places where like real Nashvillians go to drink. Although I wouldn't be a great authority on that,
Right.
unless it's like drinking water.
Yeah.
But
It's funny. I rarely go to Broadway when I go to Nashville now. Like I might do it one night that I'm there, but then the other nights I'm either in like East Nashville over where like Jane's Hideaway is and the 5 spot, like in that area, or down where like Losers is. I usually stay at the Virgin Hotel.
Yeah.
So down where Losers and there's some other places down there, the Red Door Saloon.
I mean,
in that area.
We briefly, maybe for like a year or so, my band had a residency on Broadway at a place called the Acme. Like if you're going to go to Broadway, you should go to the Acme or Roberts. Like the Acme is the non-country.
I love Roberts. Yeah,
totally.
I've been to Roberts
It's like the Acme
times.
is the non-country bar, and like Roberts is like the, it's country, but it's like the real deal. You're gonna have a guy with like slick back hair just killing it on upright bass, that kind of thing. But I was just telling the story the other day. When I think about Lower Broadway, I think about this. I was going down to play our Friday night residency at the Acme, and I was kind of on a back road, like trying to get downtown without just being caught in horrible traffic. It was like 5 p.m. and this Uber was coming the opposite way, and there was a bunch of women in it, and it pulled up opposite me, and it halted, and the window came down, and a woman in her 20s or whatever like leaned her head out, and so I was like, oh, this woman wants to like talk to me or something. I'm going to plug my band. I'm going to plug my show. So I rolled the window down, and she just threw up all over the place at 5 p.m. on a Friday. She'd clearly been on Broadway all damn day, and I was like, this is what I'm about to go play. This is what I'm stepping into. So I think of that, and it's not to say that I haven't seen people throw up at the 5 spot, but I love the 5 spot, and the 5 spot feels like kind of ground zero for what is the real Nashville music community to me, which would be the East Nashville community.
Yes.
And that's not to say that that's any more real or valid than, like Lower Broadway. There's some great players on Lower Broadway. It's just, my idea of the Nashville community is across the river.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I've been to Roberts a couple times, primarily to see the band. What are they called? Kelly's Heroes. They have I think it's a Tuesday residency at Roberts. Yeah. And the one dude playing the upright bass, and then this other guy who just wails on guitar. I always forget his name, but
it's
anyway.
great playing. I mean, and there's like my friend Joshua Headley, who's amazing, will play downtown a lot. I remember going to see like a Daniel Donato, if you know who he is. He's just like a guitar phenom who's really big in the jam world now. But he would play Roberts when he was way underage, like 16 years old, just killing it on stage. So there's a lot of really good music there. It's just, I mean, like luckily it just has not been my path, but it's right. I know people who do it, and I tip my hat to them. I don't wear hats, but I tip my head to you guys.
That's awesome. Okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to make sure we kind of cover all the bases. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or promote, or anything else you want my audience to know about you?
Well, check it out, Andrew Leahy and the Homestead. And I, so the only album that we put out with a label really was our debut album. And I mean, I don't mean to like disparage it. It doesn't sound like me. And I can tell that I was pretty freshly out of brain surgery. Honestly, I was just so gung ho about just like resuming my pace. I think I really rushed into it. So if you want a kind of a good picture of what we do, listen to Airwaves, listen to American Static Volumes 1 and 2. They're 2 different albums, but it's meant to be one double album. And the new record coming out this fall, it's called Move, Kick, Shake. And it's my favorite. And I think, every time I put a new record out, I'm like, I wish like this could be like the debut, and this could be my introduction. And I always get worried that people are going to listen to the debut and think, oh, this is Andrew Leahy. And then they'll listen to my new music and be like, oh, this is Andrew Leahy. But I guess you're doing something right if each time you make a record, you want like that to be the like totality of what you do. And I do feel that way about this new one.
Awesome.
Just like check it out. That's all I can ask for. And
very cool.
I mean, I play with so many other people that I feel like I'll be in whatever area you live in, whether it's like Sweden or Norway or the Netherlands or Connecticut or Montana. I mean, we're, I'm lucky that I get to do all of that. And I used to not, I used to view my career my dream job in a very linear way, where like point B is where I am now, point A is where I am now, and point B is like success as a solo artist. But I found it's just so much more enjoyable and fruitful and collaborative to view it as a circle, and every point that you're on can inform the next point, and it makes you a better musician, and it makes you better with your solo career. I don't want to have tunnel vision. I want to have like 360 as much as I can. And so that's kind of the hustle that I'm on right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's very wise advice. If you want to, look at it as advice to really just not look at it as one linear thing. Like, you got to start somewhere. It's all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Diversify, and the variety is the spice of life, like all that stuff,
Yeah.
Take advantage of every opportunity, right?
I'm trying.
That's awesome. Okay, so at the end of this, we're gonna add the 2 performances. Do you have any idea what songs you're gonna do for us?
I was talking to a good friend, and she wanted me to do a song called "Stay Awake." It's off of the American Static album. I forget if it's volume 1 or 2. It's kind of, it is more in kind of like the roots rock vein, and then I'll probably try to do a new one just to, give you an advanced taste of that.
That'd be great.
And I'm not sure which one of those new songs I'm going to do. I'm going to pull out my new acoustic guitar, brand new acoustic guitar, and see which of the newest songs sounds good on that.
Awesome.
And then we'll just go with that one.
Very cool. Love it. Looking forward to it. Andrew, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you asking me, and I appreciate you kind of like having patience as I went to Europe and just kind of like forgot about the real world for a month.
No worries.
I'm happy to be back and happy to do this too. It's always good to talk to a music fan, especially when your audience, I know, is a bunch of music fans as well. So
yeah.
Like, hey to you guys out there, and keep listening.
Thank you so much. And when I'm in Nashville, I'll see if you're in town. Maybe we get together and grab some coffee or something.
I look forward to it, man.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
See you, buddy.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye. Hey, everybody. I'm back. It's Andrew Leahy again. I did change my shirt, but it's still the same old me. Speaking of old, this is an older song. This was off of the American Static Volume 2 album. It's about when the American dream turns into a nightmare, and it's about my time working in New York City, a town that I love, but I was working in music magazines, and that's a hard industry. This song is called Stay Awake. Starting well before 8 and it's sick after 6. Feels like I'm paying to play for the right to exist, for the chance to take a chance away from some other kid who got his BA from UGA and the ID's old. Some kind of place in the race to become CFO. I tell him get back on the ladder, got a long way to go. Time ain't on your side, they lied to the Rolling Stones, spread the word to the morning birds, whose doors are open late. If you wanna live the American dream, you gotta stay awake. You gotta stay awake. My alma mater's on the line, another call with the man who's raising funds for another one of the buildings they plan. And he's asking me for money, but I ain't got none in hand. You'd be shocked at the cost of being who I am. But give me 7 more years, they'll put my name on the building, at least a sign on the left field
field, line of the ball field. God willing, and I stay in the game. Play the extra innings, climb the bottom of the range to the top of the bill. And when we need a heavy hitter, I'll be ready to play. If you wanna live the American dream, you gotta stay awake. You gotta stay awake. Friday afternoon at the office, all the top brass names leaving early, beat the rush on the 3:30 trains. And I join them eventually, but it won't be today. To make that kind of exit, gotta have you to pay. So I stay real late with the help of my supply. It's never cheap, but I need it to keep me alive. You may not call it medicine, but I still call it mine. You'd be shocked at the cost of what it sells for outside. But when you're live like a wire, no hour is too late. And if you wanna live the American dream, you gotta stay awake. And I will sleep when I'm dead broke, but first I'm getting paid. If you wanna live the American dream, if you wanna live the American dream, if you wanna live the American dream, you gotta stay awake. You gotta stay awake. You gotta stay awake. You gotta stay awake.
Thanks for listening.
All right, let's do a new one. This is from the upcoming album. The album is called Kick, Move, Shake. The song is called Time Ran Out. And let's just say it's about that annoying situation where the people you don't like wind up being in charge of you. Bigger man making plans, sign his name with a fountain pen, monogram, letters in the waistband. Golden towel, and they transfer on the mainland, bringing home the big bucks, women on the witness stand. He's the baker taking bread from the bread lines, giving out deadlines at 10 o'clock bedtime. My mind can cry at the headlines, cross T's, dotted I's, spelling out the end times. Tick tock, I know the sounds, a long time coming and this time ran out. Two-bit counterfeit, slugger buddy, only pitch hits, misses it, overpaid and unfit. Does the thing, kiss the ring, prerequisite, bringing home the big bucks, building out the basement. Hard to sleep these days without a nightlight, waiting for the match strike, closer to the red line. My mind, the colors fade to time ran out. But he's no apologist. Hasn't said he's sorry yet for putting us through all this. He never let any psychologist take a look around at the ghost in his closet. But it's how it goes, there's no